Scorpio season was freaking crazy. Hi y'all, welcome back to my astrology series where I do monthly astrology reflections based on the past zodiac month. I love to give a spotlight on the zodiac, talk about their archetype notes. Most of my zodiac references do come from this lovely book here, The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. I've been referencing his work for years when it comes to astrology things. It's one of my favorite astrology books because it just does not feel biased at all, and it makes it very simplified to the point of trying to make the patterns make sense in your head. It's very easy to break down through his book. This is not sponsored, I'm just a huge fan. Scorpio is that archetype of being the detective, the sorcerer. It's having your mind naked and alert. It's that ready to live or die mentality where priorities are very clarified. There's deep focus on the present moment. It's due to wanting to live intensely while basing these decisions on feelings. It's to let death serve as a counselor. One is instinctively suspicious because the mind is so sharp and silent. This is also the sign where one can embody accepting their own fullest sexuality. This is where Scorpio gets that rep of being that taboo sign that explores that world of what's unconventional or what's wrong in society and kind of brings light to those darkness. It's society's darkness. It's a collective darkness that people feel they have to hide down and repress. What brings out anger, what brings out jealousy, what brings out all the 7 deadly sins. Having the spotlight on those and not glamorizing, not romanticizing it, but just giving it that intentional awareness that it's there. Scorpio makes us face our shadows. And if it's a collective thing to shame these certain traits, of course we can internalize that a little bit, right? It could feel weird to feel jealous. It could feel weird to be angry, possessive, super in love, super passionate. It feels weird because society told you to keep your feelings at a minimum, and anything that ranges through the extremes, no, 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 no. A shadow of Scorpio is repression. Something referenced in his book that I'm gonna paraphrase here. Scorpio energy, especially if you're a Scorpio, can go one or two ways, where you get lost deeply in emotions and feelings, feeling them so intensely and then acting on it. The other side is being very ignorant of your own emotions. It's acting like you are almost above them, as if you kind of mastered your emotions, but you haven't. You're just not trying to feel anything at all. And that could be repressing your own stories, repressing your own traumas, acting like life is gonna be okay because you're now thinking positive, but it's blocking, it's hiding that what needs to come out. Most times when those stories do come out, you'll find so much resonancy with other people. Your taboo stories might not seem taboo once you start sharing stories. And I'm not saying anyone's stories is, better than another or more extreme than another, because of course we have different thresholds of those. Another shadow is feeling endlessly unfulfilled. If you're on the scale of feeling it too much, you want endless experiences. You want to constantly feel things. Euphoria gives you relief. This makes you easily obsessed. When you're endlessly unfulfilled, you become easily obsessed with anything. It's that quick fix need. Another shadow I noted was having emotional manipulation for power. And this goes back to me saying one could think they're in the energy of mastering their emotions. They've gone through what they've gone through, and because they don't react the same, because they maybe not as explosive, there's just like this air of, no, I'm good. Because you understand your emotions and how you process things internally, especially if you do tap into your intuitive side a lot, you can almost read people. You can read how they're gonna react because you know these situations a little bit and you picked up patterns, emotional patterns. You almost could use that against people. to have your way. Now that we've talked about the archetypes a little bit, I will explain a little bit my experience with this month. I have Libra as my ascendant, and what I've realized through pattern graphing is that when you have Libra in your ascendant, you get to experience all the zodiacs in each of the birth houses. For me, I always think it's super cool because it's almost flipped for us. For example, the first house is ruled by Aries, but ours is Libra. They're sister signs. This month in Scorpio, where Scorpio for me is in my second house, and we're gonna explain a little bit what happened during my second house reflections. Taurus is the ruler of the second house, and Taurus and Scorpio are sister signs. Libra is the symbol of balance, and when you see the chart like that, it's like inverted, so we have to learn how to balance out that opposite sister energy. Super cool observation. If you're a Libra rising, you might be able to resonate with similar experiences I might have gone through with themes of the second house, which are your own energy, personal resources, possessions, inheritance, your safety and security. Some notes for those with Scorpio in their second house are: there will be transformation in how you handle resources, self-worth, and values. There's deep attachment to possessions, financial intensity, secretive of money matters. The note of financial intensity is so real for me and my story. The first day of Scorpio season, I did this little challenge with myself where I was singing in front of the camera, posting it on my socials. You could hear me in a little bit behind the actual song. The challenge was basically to broaden my voice and confidence to sing. Almost felt like that was my power in homes that wanted to keep me silent. It didn't allow me to shine, or I didn't feel comfortable to. Singing gave me that autonomy that was like, no, I'm gonna be loud and proud about me and my talents. Progress. Singing is very healing for me. I'm still learning how to just be really loud about it. I just feel so shy still. But when I'm by myself, that's a performance and a half. I think my singing bothered some shadows. I also started to take photos of myself again. Not spicy ones, not nude ones, fully clothed ones, but give that little flair like I used to. When I did have a spicy site going on, my favorite part about it was taking the photos. I would put music on, I would try to be creative with my setting, I would be creative with my poses, and it just was such like a creative flow. I missed that sexy, confident energy that these photos would help me get into. Self-care, cool. But there's another one where you're letting that dark, feminine, raw inside of you come out, just channeled so nicely into photos. And I love that for me. I completed my first self-made leadership program, how to bring myself from self-doubt to self-leadership, to self-direction. And it worked. I feel like it actually did something for me on an internal scale. Trying to be and remain in such an abundant mindset, but there's just constant noise of you're not doing enough, that's not the right thing to do, you're so far from where you are, you're never gonna get that, no one wants to help you, no one can help you. Hearing that so much was just so distracting. A huge reason why I went on so many walks was because I needed to physically remind myself of abundance. But I'm grateful that I reacted differently to hearing these projections. Give myself a lot of reassurance of my own path now, and I feel so much more confident about it that it truly does feel like outside noise when it is outside noise. I'm no longer single. In the beginning of the month, I started a romantic relationship. I have a boyfriend. You can see him in my newest vlog. We'll be seeing more of him in little bits and pieces. The day after we became official, my friend who's holding my suitcases let me know that she's actually having a move by the end of the year and that it's time for me to get my suitcases. So we've been setting things up. That's a big thing. And I'm so freaking excited about it. And I want to say, because of that push, there was so much things that fell into alignment for me, especially financially. So freaking grateful. I am going to be grateful for my aunt in this case. She did push me to do something. I've had this one bank I'd be banking with since I was like 12 years old. I recently opened up a new bank with a new company. And that feels big for me because I thought I was always going to stay with this one company. It felt like the energy that bank carried was part of such an old story for me, story that was filled with lack. I'm paying a debt off it right now, and as soon as that debt is done, I'm closing that bank out entirely. An old version of me in a way. And with this new bank, everything aligned for me to open up this new bank as well, and it just felt good even opening the account. When I was sitting with the accountant, do the whole paperwork thing, and I normally don't feel like happy and excited to do paperwork stuff. The bank that I'm now with, the new one, is the bank my grandparents banked with. Spiritually, I felt connected to my grandpa in this one moment. Just said out loud, this is gonna be a joint account for us. And this is before money came into it and anything, and I did any transactions. This is when the bank was still just fresh. He was the one who helped me a lot financially, just in general, like growing up in my teens, in my early adults. There was anyone trying to give some kind of financial advice in our family, it was my grandpa. Like, he really tried his best with all of us. The keeper of the account, just kind of like helping me with it. I really want to take money a lot more seriously now that I've healed that relationship of never feeling like I had enough. And when I do tap in that energy, it just feels like I can call that out a lot more faster. In my savings game, in my investments game, now I have financial goals that I want to see through. There was a lot of things leading up to my move, and I'll get to that in a second. I overheard a family member completely just pop off right in the morning in a really bad mood, and the things she was saying, it was just like she wanted people to hurt as much as she was hurting kind of vibe. But what she said about me, it was interesting because I felt that way to her. Like, what she was saying about me, I was like, wow, put the words right in my mouth. That's exactly how I feel like you're treating me. Reflected right then and there. I can't keep living with people I have to walk on eggshells around. Put me in a spiral. It wasn't just that comment that I was starting to ruminate on. It was like everything that I heard over the last couple months being piled on my head, and I just was so over it that I talked to my cousin. I can't do this. That was the first time I actually said that out loud to a family member. I'm really grateful for everybody here, and I'm really grateful for my time here, but this is just getting to a point where I'm crying about this like every day. Clearly triggering each other in this house. Okay, if it's that bad, let me move. I was telling my cousin that the things that I hear make me feel like I'm not doing enough, and in general make me feel like I'm not enough. I'm about to cry. This was the sweetest thing I ever heard from my cousin to me. The way that a part of me wanted to keep like diving into the negative spiral and just be like, no, this is why I want to leave. This is why I like to be alone. And self-isolating defensive mode. During my negative spiral, saying not enough, she just stopped me. She's just like, I think you're enough. Thank you for saying that. And I just started crying. And then she started crying. This is like a closure moment right now. I felt like in the summer, there were moments where me and my cousin got along. Not seeing each other for over a decade and then seeing each other again, you know, we could get lost in how we used to see each other, how we see each other now. And I felt like there was both sides confliction of that. It felt so warm and good for me to hear her say that. It was like any kind of weirdness I felt towards her just completely vanished after that. I need to stop thinking that we're against each other in this situation or in general. It felt so healing to hear that from her. A family member actually said more things that night, a full day of her being frustrated. And I kind of took the opportunity for me to be like, well, if that's really how you feel, like, I could move out. The way that she responded, which was completely okay with it, she was supportive of it, she almost encouraged it, and it surprised me. Oh, she's really okay with it. And that made me feel like this is the first time I'm leaving a house on such healthy terms. When I left my dad's house, I didn't even let him bring me to the airport. I just didn't want him to be the last person I saw, unfortunately. The way that we were parting ways. It was just becoming very toxic between us. Something about my dad and I's relationship at this time is just seems like distance makes everything better. I did catch my family in surprise because the day after she said okay was when I moved. I didn't even wait a full week. I moved right away. So grateful that I got to do that. I actually currently live with my boyfriend. I could really talk about our relationship so much. It just simply feels good and it feels aligned and I'm happy about it. Waking up every day with peace that I've been craving since moving in with my family at the start of this year. It feels so freaking good. It feels so good to wake up in my own energy, the energy of just one other person who makes you feel welcomed. There was no hesitating type of energies I felt being here. It didn't feel like I was escaping. It didn't feel like I was just running away. It's so nice to wake up in the quiet. Of course, responsibilities of the home, yes, but it's like I want to do these things. Like when it's dishes time, I want to do it. When it's laundry, let me do it. Instead of just having someone over you just be like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. As per Scorpio energy and it ruling over the second house, which does, you know, correlate with physical money and stuff like that as well. I set up an agreement with a debt that I owe. This was something I was very fearful of for years. Getting calls from them was just so scary. I couldn't face them for a long time. I think what the fear was that I would get like such a penalty that made me lose more things. If I call them, like they're gonna take everything. It feels like a huge weight off my shoulders. It feels like I'm finally not running away from things on a more emotional scale as well. That's very big for me. I want to thank Scorpio energy for that, for being the sign for internal transformation. The full moon that happened during this time was the Taurus full moon. Taurus for me is in the 8th house, which rules over transformation of the shadow, access to other resources, joint finances, the joint finances with thought of my grandpa being part of the new bank account, access to other resources, my move. When I think of resources, when it comes to my move, I actually think more of what I'm around. In Abbotsford, it's such a cute small town vibe. When you walk around, there's no trains in Abbotsford, but now I'm closer into the city where there's sky trains, where there's a lot more things going on. A highlight, if I could pin it all down into one thought, when it comes to transformation of the shadow, I could say that I transformed repression. It's easy, or it was easy, for me to be in a more avoidant energy, meaning that I knew on the other side of things would be me feeling it, and I'd rather not. A huge example I could say for that was during my time in Reno. I gratefully had access to so much weed. I smoked, on average, 5 bong hits a day. I lived in Reno for a year and a half. I'm really grateful for all of that abundance. However, it was like whenever I felt anything big, whenever I felt really sad, really angry, really triggered, I would just smoke. Of course, I would try to process what I was feeling. And I can say that weed actually helped a little bit with that, where it helped me single down to linear thoughts instead of having like, oh, but this. Weed would just be like, focus on one thing. And that would help me reflect. I wouldn't just let myself feel it. Like I would use weed as a filter of feelings, and I would just make myself basically calm the fuck down right away and then journal about it. Sure, that doesn't sound like full repression because I'm not completely avoiding what those triggers and stuff were, but it like emotionally, I wouldn't just let my emotions go through. I would just basically be like, nope, I don't want to feel more of this. That's it. I can also say my self-worth took a transformation this season 2 at the start of the zodiac month. I was a little bit in my doubtful energy, hence why I did the singing and dancing challenges to try to boost that. And by the end of the month, I was like, yeah, I'm not putting up with this anymore. That's all the storytelling I have for this zodiac season. If you resonated with any stories in any way or just with anything I said, please leave it below. And if you're a Scorpio, say hi. Scorpio any placement. I'm a Scorpio moon. Scorpio in my second house, so that's where I can resonate in those type of ways. I do have such a bias towards Scorpio energy. I love things that are unconventional. I love things that bring spotlight on the darker stuff that we don't like to talk about. I find that anytime I do meet Scorpios, there's this ease to talk about deeper or darker stuff without judgment towards it. The way that I've accidentally trauma dumped to Scorpios before, and they just have no harmful or negative reaction to it. They're just simply like, yeah, like they're just understanding, they're hearing you out. Anything that you could go through, it's not like it feels normal to them, but there's like a deeper understanding of, oh shit, I can understand why you did that, why you feel that. I love to story tell, and it just feels much better when people understand the emotional intelligence of the story. It makes me feel good, so I'm sure it could make other people feel good as well. Shout out to Scorpios. Y'all the best. Happiest birthdays to you. Hope you enjoyed it. If you even want to leave what you did on your birthday, Scorpios, that would be fire. And if you saw this a year later from when I posted it, Scorpios, or any commenters, please still comment. I love to read comments on old videos too, because y'all, I watch my older videos. When I think of other people watching my older videos and it's new for them, I would like a comment still. I think it's cute. I leave you off with that. Thank you so much for listening to a reflective video. I enjoy making these videos so much. It shows my growth over time in a lot of ways. I've done this astrology series since I basically started YouTube. Way longer videos on it. Just me yapping, trying to understand astrology patterns through my stories. I'm basically learning how to condense them and make them more digestible now. This season was freaking cool. Transformation. Thank you for watching.